very good morning, folks. This is Tuesday. We are on lockdown, officially on lockdown, yes. Now, today's video is going to be sort of like a half and half video. Half of it's going to be Jag Lives and half of it's going to be Spiz. So I've got my Spiz hat on, obviously, as you can see, so I'm going to get into Spiz mode and tell you the story about the Battle of the Giants, folks. Yes, indeed, the Battle of the Giants at Barry, Carnoustie, Panbride, Monikie sort of area. So that's where we're heading today. But first of all, we've got to stop off for something very important, and I'll see you when I get there. Right, folks, of course it is the rather important breakfast roll. This is what we're having today, folks. They've changed the way they make this roll. It used to be on a sort of a muffin, but now it seems to be on a rather limp sort of roll. But actually, you know what? It's got egg, bacon, cheese and a sausage on it there, and it's actually really tasty, man. Very good. Now behind me, folks, in the very lands there of Barry and Carnoustie, that sort of sweeping little flat land there, was a scene of a battle, folks, between, would you believe it, a battle of giants took place right there, folks. Now the marauding forces of the Danes in 866 have been attacking the coast, the east coast of Scotland and England, but in particular the east coast of Scotland. Now, King Malcolm II had got fed up with this and had got himself a nice big juicy army together because he had heard that King Sion of Denmark was wanting to avenge his slaughter of a big army at Mordek. Don't know where the Mordek is, but King Malcolm won a decisive battle there. So King Sion organised this massive fleet, this top of the range fleet and fighting troops, and he got his son Camus to organise it and lead it, and they planted themselves down at Lunan Bay, further on up the coast there, and they managed to fight their way down and they settled at Carnoustie. That was their last camp, the big encampment of Carnoustie. So King Malcolm's men came from the Perth and Dundee area and they marched to fight and meet with the Danes right here, folks, where they fought them, and a decisive battle. A lot was at stake here because whoever won was going to basically be king of the land, and unfortunately it was the Scots that won. Now the Scots heralded a massive victory, and it said a lot about the Scots because the Danes had already slaughtered and taken part and ravaged the whole of the east coast, man. From the Forth northwards, nothing really belonged to Scotland. The only thing that really remained that was Scottish was the kingdom of Fifeshire. Would you believe it, folks? Yes, that bit of land there. And so after that, all the Danish troops were kind of buried in that area, and the fleet sort of flew off. Well, they didn't fly off because they were boats. They sailed off back over to Denmark, and the Scottish were victorious and could celebrate. Now, unfortunately, the Danes' king, the leader, Camus, the son of Sion, he was killed in the battle as he fled northwards up towards just wherever. He was just trying to escape, but he got caught and overtaken by the earls, and he was killed. He was decapitated. He kind of got his head chopped. Somebody sliced his head with an axe. It's cold out there, folks. They've come inside. Sliced his head off with an axe, and they buried him at the exact spot where he was killed. And there's a stone up here, an obelisk, which we're going to have a look at and see how he is. Old Camus, but he's dead now anyway, so that's where he's buried, up there. Right, folks, we're on the march towards the cross of Camus. I've had to park my car there, folks. Hope it's okay. So we're heading up towards the cross of Camus, folks. We're going over there, folks. Geezo, folks, is a pure squidge fest. Just this bit here where I came over, it's covered in water, it's all flooded. My God, I thought it was going to sink, but we've made it. But oh my goodness, listen to the squidge. folks, this is a nightmare. Now, I've only got one glove, so I'm having to swap hands to keep my hands warm. It's just wet underfoot. I keep sinking and sliding and slipping. And the trees, when I go to the tree line to try and get some sort of traction, it just drips on me. The water from the branches. And it's just horrific, man. It really is. Dear oh dear. The things I do. Anyway, well, we're on the way now. So to delve into the story of Camus a little bit further, he was fleeing the battle when he realised defeat was imminent. He got a couple of guys with him and he horse-tailed it right out of the battle scene and all the way up here. However, some of the earls who were sort of just patrolling about realised what was happening, that he was escaping, and so they sort of got ahead of him and ambushed him right up here, and they slew him. One of the earls wheaked him with an axe and chopped off part of his head. Oh goodness me, I'm going to get across this bit, hang on. Right, okay, so yeah, sliced off a bit of his head, and that was him, and he was buried right at the spot where he was killed, the cross of Camus. Right, here it is then, folks. Touch the stone. Right, folks, here we go, the stone of Camus, or the Camus cross. Don't know what's happened here, folks. Like the lookout tower for the pheasants has collapsed. But at this very spot, this is where Camus is said to have been buried after being chased from the battle scene. Now, it wasn't until 1629 that Lord Panmure, this is his lands, came up here to see what this cross is all about with an army. An army? Not an army, with just a few chaps, and they cut it open and see what was going on, and they found that the size of the skeleton here was massive, and that the skull had actually been cleaved, as told in the history books, and they were astounded by the fact that this was basically a giant. I mean, look at the size of this mound that the cross is on. So the further investigation down at the fields of Panmure and Panbride and Carnoustie, where the battle took place. The battle took place over 3 days. That they discovered lots of other sort of graves and tombs that were down there, so they uncovered those. And of course, with the sands being down there was a lot of beach down there back in the day. The winds blew all the sand off, and the bones have been brought out to the elements, so they could see the size of the bones were massive as well. So they came to the conclusion that this whole battle, the Battle of Barry or Carnoustie, wherever you were, whatever, depending on what boundary you think you're at. Anyway, I digress. They thought that the battle must have been fought between giants, so they called it the Battle of Giants down at Barry. There it is, fantastic, isn't it? So, I mean, the truth is, folks, that in 1866, when the battle took place, that there was a lot of Dane activity going on. As you know, they raided Lindisfarne and then worked their way down across the country. But basically, the east coast of Scotland was anyone's, but particularly the Danes, who had that nice, they could just come straight across and take Scotland, basically, which is what they did with their ferocious Vikings. But I tell you, if you watch The Last Kingdom, folks, that is awesome. The Last Kingdom is the thing to watch. That goes on about the English dealing with the Danes, how they fought them off. But there it is, folks, the cross of Camus. I thank you. Well, folks, this ground is the worst squidge fest I think I've ever encountered, I must admit. Bro would have been crying his eyes out. Oh no, I don't like it, I'm sinking, help me, bro. And I'm only saying that to slag bro off, because he called me, what's he called me on his last video? A feeble skinned person, and I would blow away at the slightest gust of wind. I was howling with that, a feeble skinned person. Honestly, bro, you do come up with some good ones, I must admit. But anyway, folks, yeah, do go and watch Solo Bro's latest video with all the waves coming through a spout hole and everything. Oh, it's amazing, and quite treacherous as well, though. But Right, back to the car we go with my wet, sodden feet. Home for a shower and see what the rest of the day. It's only about 11:30 now, so I've had my breakfast. I've been fed, I've been watered. I think I'll go home and just have a shower and chill for a bit, and then see what the afternoon brings. But it's getting dark now, isn't it? There really is draconian sort of style days now. It's dark, the lockdown's in place, man. We just can't seem to go anywhere, do anything. But hey ho, folks, pure disaster there. As I came over that fence, I missed my step, and I've got this power cord connected to this power bank thing here, and as I came over, it got caught on one of the iron bits, the wrought iron bits, and it pulled out the cord and everything. God, I hope it's okay. Oh, it's just a pure squidge disaster, man. Dear oh dear. Right. Sometimes nature and man-made things do conspire against you, don't they? Right. Oh, my nose is running like anything. Even man, there's a tractor with a trailer trying to get past my car there. Has it made it? For goodness sake, man. No, it wasn't a tractor, it was a lorry. I thought it was going to pull into the... Oh, there's a car coming, crikey. Oh man, this is just a pure disaster. This coming back has been a disaster. Going up was good, but coming back hasn't been too pleasant, I must admit. Now look, it looks like the sun might actually come out. Typical, isn't it? I picked the worst time of day to go out. It was cold, it was miserable, raining, damp, but now the sun seems to be coming out. Yeah, behind me there we have the lands of Panmure. Now you can actually walk through there, even though it's private land. You can still walk through there because Scottish strolling law says you can walk anywhere. So yeah, maybe you have to walk through there one day. There's not much to see, that's the only thing. But that could be another thing to do during this lockdown. Righto folks then, now just in case you thought I was making all this up about giants and the battles and skulls getting cleaved in fantastic fleets, well it was true, and it all comes from this book, Historic Scenes in Forfarshire, 1875 by William Marshall. Now I've already done a lot of research, as you know, over the years about Camus and the Danes and the invaders and all this, but this one book just seems to bring it all together in nice little stories and little other snippets of information that I didn't know. And this one particular bit, just at the very end, William Marshall's last paragraph on the subject of these giants goes like this. We may observe that in those days there were giants, some among the native population and more amongst the hostile invaders, so that reference to gigantic skeletons, gigantic tombs, etc. are not to be sneered at as fabulous. The fact is so well authenticated that it requires a great deal of credulity to disbelieve than to believe it. So there we go. Fantastic. There we go. That's William Marshall on the subject. It's a great book. It's an old book that I found in my bookcase when I was having a tidy up. So I'm going to get loads more, but it's all about, Forfarshire and the surrounding area. It's great. So thanks for watching, folks. And I'll see you soon. Alright folks, well after being in this spizz mode for so long, it's nice to just come home and chill and pull up a nice cup of tea. And we're going to have a nice welcome return to one of the favourite segments of the show. We're going to have Bun of the Day, folks. Bun of the Day. Oh yeah, Bun of the Day. Come what may, we'll always have Bun of the Day. Indeed. Now you may say that's not a bun jag. What have you picked up? You picked up a Yorkshire pudding by mistake. Well, this is something called a Portuguese. What is it called? A Portuguese. Oh, what is it called? A Portuguese something. A Portuguese tart or something. So I'm not actually sure what is involved in the eating of what's inside it. My guess is it's maybe custard with a sort of an eggy topping. So we shall find out. We're going to bite into it. It looks like it actually has a pastry sort of. Oh, it's quite crackly. Right, here we go. Well, there's a lot going on in that first bite, man. First of all, we have the crispy texture of this sort of flaky pastry here. And then we have the smooth, custardy innard, followed by the rather sort of moist, scrambled eggy sort of custard on the top. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there, man. It tastes really nice. Boom. Oh, hell. Alright, sorry folks, I was interrupted by the strangest of phone calls. My phone just made this really strange noise, and goodness knows what was going on. There was nobody there. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, very unusual sort of thing, this Portuguese tart. It's quite messy to eat, but you know what, it's really good. It's nice and sweet. I think it just tastes of sort of custard. It's got just a slight vanilla taste. Go on. Yeah. I would have that again. In fact, I've got two, but I'll save the other one for later on. Right, folks. Well, on the bonometer, I'm going to give that a 6.5. Yep, a 6.5 on the bonometer. As I said, it was okay, nice and crusty. It's something unusual. I've not had nothing like that before. But at the end of the day, I thought I hadn't had nothing like that before. But it's like a mixture of a few things, like 3 separate buns in there. There's the crispiness, the custard, and the sort of the eggy topping, vanilla-y sort of stuff. And it was all right. 6.5, well deserved. 6.5, thank you. It was fought right behind me there, and so the reference to gigantic skeletons, gigantic tombs, etc., are not to be sneered at as fabulous. Hang on, I want to do this again. I've been reading this book. On this particular chapter, which goes like this. Hang on, there's a big blue tractor coming up here, so I might have to move. Hang on, folks. Lines and fleets of fantastic boats. Goes like this. We may observe that in those days. Right, folks. Just to finish off today, round it up. We have this from the book. Right, folks. Just to round up the situation. This fact is so well authenticated that it is. That's such stupid written. I can't understand writing.